this point, the choice is very clear. So for you Democratic shills out there that's still trying to defend this administration, it's over. It's over. You've already had an example what it feels like when you are American first, despite if you don't like him. He always put American first. Now you have an example when you're American last. And they only give you $750 if there is a natural disaster that happened, because they have depleted the FEMA fund of $1.4 billion that was given out to illegal migrants for shelter and food and resources, just like we keep saying. But then they want to jump on the news and mainstream media and tell you that Republicans are lying. They're the ones not passing the bills. They're the one that's holding up funding. No, Department of Homeland Security, the director, all of these people that's in government and in power, they are the ones that work for Biden and Harris. That's who's running this show right now. The natural disaster that happened in these states here, and they do not have no money. How can you get on TV and tell the American citizens, taxpayer citizens, that you don't have no money to give them?
Let me tell you why they can say that. It's because Republicans have been calling for Mayorkas. Mayorkas is the director of Homeland Security, which basically the federal government basically rolled up several different departments into one. So, for example, the people that protect the president. And then they had that failure to actually protect the president, in which he got shot in the ear. And I think that it was divine that he didn't die. That is all jumbled up into Homeland Security. When they were trying to pass this alleged bipartisan bill to make sure that they say at the end of 2003, give more government resources at the border to make sure that we don't have as many illegal migrants, they didn't need bipartisan support. Mayorkas should have been doing his job. And so they tried to bundle that up with making sure that they sent additional monies over to the different departments and then over into Ukraine and Israel and things like that. And they bundled all of that under Homeland Security. When you see that Mayorkas, again, is saying that FEMA doesn't have money and they're not going to be funded, especially if we get another hurricane, which they're anticipating doing, but yet they distributed multi-millions, let alone billions of dollars into supporting the migrant crisis that was happening over here in the United States of America. Mayorkas is the one that spoke to that. And so when we see things happen in certain legislative branches and then it filters through into the funding from Homeland Security to security and sending funds overseas and things like that, and it all comes back down to the same people over and over again getting the visibility and speaking to these issues like Mayorkas, guess what? It all comes back down to the same thing. Is that it's under an administration that has put people in place and is making sure that they're protecting certain people, and you are the ones that suffer as a result of it. You are the ones that's not going to get no funding if you get a natural disaster. Why? Because they spent all of the money to replace you. And they don't have to worry about it because you're still going to allow for them to disrespect you by allowing them to serve you, because you're paying them with your tax dollars by allowing them to serve you in all of these different branches of the government. And one of the reasons why they wanted for Kamala Harris to be in office and they pushed out Biden is because they knew that Biden was hurting what they were doing down ballot. I got my ballot today, or not even today. I got my ballot the other day in the mail, my absentee ballot, right? And I was looking down at this. And this is one of the interesting things that people are so ignorant about, because I see people like Scrappy and stuff like that show up on certain platforms and he says stuff like, it don't matter who the president, because all of these, they just gonna do what they want to do, and all the rest of Congress is, as though he was paying attention in class. And I'm looking at this, right? As a person that is Michigan, and I could see it, and it says partisan section, straight party ticket. If I just wanted to go straight party Republican, if I wasn't familiar with anybody, then there's literally a ton of people on this thing that you need to research for, and it actually is a down ballot vote in a lot of instances that a lot of people do because they just vote straight Democrat or straight Republican, and so people vote out of ignorance. And so when they pushed Biden out of office, and I'm looking at this straight party ticket: Democratic Party, Republican Party, Libertarian Party, U.S. Taxpayers Party, Green Party, Working Class Party, and the Natural Law Party. And then it goes into presidential election, which they got Kamala Harris and Tim Walz at the top, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Then they got Chase Oliver. And then they go down to Randall Terry, Jill Stein, Robert Kennedy. All of these different people. They even got Cornel West for the no party affiliation. Then they got congressional, U.S. state senator. All right. They got congressional. And then it goes into regent of the University of Michigan, trustee of Michigan State University, the county executive. Right. So for us to say, well, it doesn't really matter who you vote for, or I'm not going to participate in the election process. Well, that's why they feel compelled to only give you $750. Goes into the judicial system, the trustees, the clerks, right? Justice of Supreme Court incumbent position, term ending 1/1/2029. The treasurer, right? And then it goes further down to Water Resources Commissioner, Judge of Court of Appeals, 2nd District, representative in Congress for the 11th District, which obviously on the Democratic side, you got Haley Stevens. And this is over here, from in Michigan, Nick Sonberg, Douglas Campbell for the Green Party. You have on page 2, library board members, county operating millages for replacement proposals, board members for certain schools, a judge of the probate court, non-incumbent position, community college board of trustees member for certain colleges, and so on and so forth. So when I see certain things happen, right, I'm tying it all together and I'm trying to figure out, okay, how is this relevant to me? Why is it that I should be participating in the legislative process? And if something was to happen, tornado, forest fires, or hurricanes such as Helene come into certain areas and they destroy everything, you are the one that's going to pay the price for it because they've already allocated your resources over to people that don't pay into the taxpayer system, such as the migrant crisis. Let's continue to hear what she got to say.
Because you spent it all for illegal migrants. Y'all take a look at this video from Fox News.
Alejandro Mayorkas sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
This all comes as the Biden-Harris administration spent over $1 billion from a FEMA program on services for migrants.
I have to calm down because I'm really extremely pissed. I mean, I can only imagine. Like I said, I live in a hurricane area. I've seen our bridges and our roads filled with water, bayous, everything. It's just that we're in a flat area. But to look to see the devastation, I've never seen anything like that in my life. I mean, entire roads washed away. Same thing with Hurricane Katrina. And then you had Maui, with Hawaii, and what happened there. And in all of these situations, the government does not step up. And now it's at a point where they are telling the American people that they have depleted our funds. It's not like they didn't have the money. They just chose to use it a different way instead of what it was intended to be used for, which is for natural disasters for our country. You know, I said that I was going to write Senator Ted Cruz about this. You know, he's our senator up there, and I'm going to write him because they need to dig somewhere. And some other types of departments, go back over there and get the check from Zelensky.